Are you having a good day? Because I am having the best day ever. Welcome to another edition of XFeed. Today, we're going over some insights from some of the biggest brains within the space, like the gentleman here behind me. We're going to talk about how crazy people are rotating, shifting, changing their perspective. Is it impacting you? Is it impacting everyone? Everybody doesn't know what they want to do. Or maybe they do. And you're just kind of sitting there trying to devise a plan of your own. We're going to go over, talk about some things that I've found interesting. And we're also going to go into the news about Pirate Nation also shutting down, which is something where we talked the other day of what does it look like for CEO changes and whatnot. And I've almost forgotten we've had a lot of shutdowns in and amongst some of the changes of leaderships across the board. So why the hell do I have Jean-Michel here? Well, because he was the most recent guest that I had on the RWA Segments podcast. And you can check the banner here, Grail Capital, investing the next 100 billion in the next 100 billion asset class, digital culture on blockchains. So the conversation has a lot of interesting components to it, and this episode just went live. If you're wanting to check it out again, links in the description down below or my bio on X. But he talks about his time at Ledger, and there was a specific clip near the end that I'm going to play for you here, and it was, I don't know if profound's the right way, but my thesis and your thesis probably as well about the future being multi-chain and how you kind of need to be that. This is a good example to highlight, well, why that's the case. And this is a conversation clipped where he talks about his time at Ledger and why Ledger ended up really kind of becoming the face of everything with hardware wallets, crypto security, etc. over Trezor, or at least at that time.
Tech component that was a very strong and still is a very strong differentiator factor for the company. And the second thing is agnosticity. When I joined, there was, again, Bitcoin, ETH was around, XRP was around as well, but not so big, and a few things. And then ERC20 came up. And ERC20 came up, and then all of a sudden, ICO came up as well. And basically, at the time, there was Trezor and there was Ledger. And Trezor was very Bitcoin maximalist, and Ledger was very much agnostic. I kind of contributed to that. So I think that some people might dislike it because people who are very much Bitcoin maximalists, they might believe that the rest is shit, And eventually I said to many people, we shouldn't decide which coin we are integrating. We should decide which coin we are integrating only on the security level, not from a market or philosophical level.
So I don't want to ruin all the goods because hopefully you guys are going to listen to that later if you're going to the gym, going for a drive. Lovely conversation. One of my favorites that I've ever done, to be totally honest. But it's very true what he's saying. And look at that. Announcement from OpenSea. You can now buy ETH NFTs using Solana directly in the app. Bada boom, bada bang. There's your immediate gratification of, well, everybody, because this is also the thing, right? Because we talk about how everybody's into whatever they're into and whatnot, but I mean, NFTs are one thing, coins are a whole nother ball game, right? And if there's people that only hold Sol or only hold ETH, and they're like, hey, you know what? That collection over there, where, I mean, for the longest time, when Claynosaurus was going crazy, right? There's probably people that were over on Ethereum that were like, hey, you know what? I don't want to figure out Solana, I don't want to do the wallet, I don't want to do this, that, and the other thing. Nah, I'll just skip it. But now, you remove that, bang. Pirate Nation, this was the top crypto game. One of them for the past several months, at least from my understanding. Again, I'm not like massive into crypto gaming. I play League of Legends. I would classify myself as a gamer, but time and time again, we've seen so many, okay, are you going to put your effort into this? Because then something happens and it's like, oh my God. And it's like a recycling pattern. So what does Pirate Nation have to say? The next chapter. It's been an extraordinarily busy time here at Proof of Play. For the last few years, we've shipped hundreds of weekly updates, improved our tech in Pirate Nation. Our team has grown and evolved, added an entirely new line of business with VRNG, and expanded to new chains. While diehard community supporters have been with us every step of the way, the game has not attracted enough of an audience to justify continued investment and operation. So they're winding it down. Given that, we are sunsetting the fully on-chain Pirate Nation game along with the Apex and Boss chains at earliest 30 days from today. So it goes on a little bit more, and I think that it's so awkward to try to come up with some sort of response to this because you check out the timeline and the majority of reflection to that is people saying, We're not even mad about it. That's cool that you're doing something. You know, Web3 gaming's hard. But then you're looking at it, and not that long ago, they were like, oh, the pirate NFTs are the Grails and the treasures and the, you know, the most valuable assets within the ecosystem. And then that's like kind of sort of not really the case anymore. And it's not like the only collection we've ever seen where that's sort of it. But it's one of my rationales for being so, I don't know, maybe defensive and a bit less optimistic around the NFT side of things, where I've been saying, hey, you know, people are screaming about these historical NFTs and telling you go buy something that's probably out of your price range because it's historical. And it's like, all right, well, that's cool. And then there's a lot of people that aren't even going to touch that, and then they look for the utility NFTs, and then it's like, oh, okay, so these companies really only care about like the technological, the protocol, the foundational level for this. And it's like, okay, well, so those are more relating to the tokens themselves. And so I've like sort of shifted from an NFT maxi to like a tech maxi, if you will, because that's seemingly the way that the teams are going for. And that's, you know, there's still going to be collections that have some sort of utility or whatever for the NFTs. And a lot of them are going to try to push them into like the art, the collectible side of things. But I think right now, I just feel more comfortable within the tech side of things. Adam Fern, Proof of Play, I think he's the CEO. Yeah, current co-founder and product lead. Shutting down Pirate Nation was one of the most difficult decisions I've ever been a part of. I love Pirate Nation. I spent nearly 7 days a week for the past 3+ years on it, but the truth is it wasn't ever going to be a breakout mass market success. Feels a little weird to say that after like pursuing it for 3+ years. Unless it was like, okay, after it launched, that was the realization. Yo, Unzi, what's going on, Brumalachi? How we doing? Being a builder means making hard calls that may be unpopular to get through to things that may work. And that's why I've continually said, anything that's like had success within Web3, we got to like go down the path, and you will see founders, teams, people that have been involved in a whole bunch of different stuff until something sticks, because people that get in this industry, they're passionate about it and they generally want to stay in it. Building in public is especially more challenging because everything out there is exposed. Your wins, your losses amplified by your supporters and detractors. Like that little bit of futters. Yeah, look at you. You're now called detractors. Well, today is a very sad day for our community and of course for the team who worked so damn hard on this. I remain extremely excited about the future of Proof of Play. So again, the technology is still around, but the game, some of the NFTs, things are changing a wee little bit. So we see what you think is the top game within Web3, and it's shutting down. And then all of a sudden you look over here, and Robbie Ferguson is saying, Web3 gaming looking good here. You detracting, buddy? Nah, it's crazy. So number one, game funding up 94% month over month. 60 mil. Holy smokes. SEC announces bullish project crypto, which is the, hey, we're bringing everything on chain. And I agree. I'm going to go on record. I've said this before. I think the headlines coming out from Project Crypto are absolutely going to be market moving. I think that it's maybe one of the most underestimated thing. We see people making threads about a whole ton of different stuff, but not many people really talking about Project Crypto. And this is because they're having, you know, public opinions. They're opening the forums up, and it's, you know, it's moving along, but it's not, you know, you have that at the beginning of the year when they had all those people that were around that table saying 2025, and they had like the agricultural lead that was there in the US, and they're like, crypto golden age begins now. And then it was like, all right, well, that's a cool headline, but then when does stuff like actually get implemented? And it's a little bit down the line. And number three, Immutable undertaking our biggest expansion yet. So Immutable continuing to do stuff, but again, interesting that funding is still very, very high, where it seems like the success rate is just not there. A SPAC by Chamath is going to target DeFi. Everybody's throwing money in here. So the comment here, they're getting into AI defense, but for decentralized finance. Traditional finance is defined by the power of incumbency, with large banks and lenders serving a dominant role in our economy. However, decentralized finance and cryptocurrency is no longer simply on the sidelines. As these new companies scale, I believe they will revolutionize multiple financial products, including international payments, smart contracts, and supply chain transparency. So what networks are these on? Who's building stuff for this? Who secretly has massive partnerships where it's breaking out? VanEck also saying, Matthew Siegel Same at Bitcoin. They still think it's going to hit 180,000 this year. What does the rest of the market look like when that is the case? And we're back. We're bringing out these exciting price targets. Metric saying, yo, friendly reminder that Shiba Inu's rocket from 2 billion to 50 billion took place entirely in October to November. So, can you imagine? We run into October and it's just Moon City everywhere. My God, the smell. Oh. So you're saying that there is a chance. The SEC delays decision on Bitwise and CoinShares XRP ETF, along with Grayscale and Canary XRP Trust. The new deadline is set for, what is it? Oh, October. Nah, they're trying to run it back in October. That's crazy. So we're in the market, right? And I know some of you got houses, you probably rent and stuff. And then I see this, and I've never owned the house. Yeah, one day maybe we'll see. But this sounds like just a horror show. So Von Doom saying the tenant in our rental got behind on a rent a few months back. In July, he ended up bouncing his check and told us he just wasn't going to pay it. If we were to pursue the legal route with a 3-day notice, he could have easily stayed in the house rent-free for months, since the courts are so backed up in California, leaving us holding the bag on both rent and having to come out of pocket on potentially up to $5,000 in fees and legal expenses. After a little back and forth, we ended up making a deal with him. We'll write off the rent for the month he skipped. July is impartial for August if he exited by August 8th. Thankfully, he's been out for 10 days and I've got a crew in there doing repairs, since apparently he at one point must have left the bathtub running and caused water damage. Unbelievable. To the first floor ceiling, which is super great and appreciated. CAC W. Part of me wants nothing to do with this as an asset class. I can pull our money and drop it into the market. Other part of me wants to finish the fixes, get a new tenant, do a refi on it, and pull the money for 2 more rentals and just continue. This is why you don't do short-term rentals or apartments. Hit the DMs if you want to learn about CRE. Yo, he's got the insights. But man, it's crazy, right? Because I think there's so many things where if you don't have a friend or if you don't know somebody that's like had these experiences, it's one of the reasons why I love X, because again, you get takes from every sort of walks of the world. The price of a Subway sandwich has gone up 23% in the last year. I'm outperforming my entire portfolio. Tell you what. People are great. Now, what's not great, I don't want to play like the audio for this because it doesn't really add anything to it, but just imagine like a voiceover. In the world, there was dragons on an island as it approached the volcano from afar. Lightning struck, all this kind of stuff, right? I mean, okay, so these trailers within Web3 gaming, crypto gaming, whatever we want to call it, I mean, we're not leaving up much to the imagination here. We're saying this Might and Magic Fates is going to be the best thing ever. I've repeatedly talked about it because it's, generally a notable name coming in, trying to do a crypto game, and then we kind of get, I don't know, I would call it sort of like a lackluster trailer here, and then they're like, Casey Minute, one of the largest and longest running game franchises in the world, is coming to Immutable, and my God, it is looking good. Show me the gameplay. The trailer is not hitting for me, to be honest. Some Bored Ape Yacht Club lore for you. This is, I guess, what the original drawing of the clubhouse looked like. Kind of cool to see what it was to what the final product was. Travis Hunter, trying to see what the rookie turns into in terms of final product. $900 for Roham. Yo, the one and only Roham. Buying it. What do we see for sports this season? There's always this lull, right? Or excitement of, oh my God, when the NBA season comes back. Oh my God, when the NFL season comes back, these moments are going to roar. And obviously there's like an uptick for sure in buys, but we actually see kind of a big market takeoff. And Animoca brands out here just straight up saying, hey, we bought this the other day. It's up $1 bajillion. Pay attention to what we're doing. People used to be afraid to talk bullish, and now it's just out there. All eyes on Tower token. In case you missed it, Tower is up 214% in the last 30 days, outperforming Ethereum by around 8x. So that is the key right here that I want to, take a little bit of a screenshot with Huanzi when he selfies when ETH hits 5K coming up. True. But the outperformance, right? That's the conversation for these pieces. And, when I mentioned at the beginning of the stream about the rotation game, we are seeing time and time again now where people are referencing okay, maybe it's time to rotate from majors into some of these other ones. Well, at the same time, we're having price targets of ETH going to 20,000, Bitcoin going up this. And then you're like, okay, hold on. So that's like a 2x. And then it's like a whole... And then you think of the companies that are going in there and you're like, okay, well, if you're Animoca brands and you can just like moon a token 240%, 14% in a few days just by attaching your name to it. And okay, wow, you just did like an 8x on that. What does it look like when people decide, hey, it is actually alt season? Hey, there is protocols and these things that are going to revolutionize the industry, right? Where I'm not saying that as a joke, right? I'm not saying that as a yoke. There is ones that are going to do that. Other ones are going to try, potentially fail, but I mean, there's hope. There's hope in the world. Disney Pinnacle keeps selling out drops. Now holds the highest record pin sale and a literal MicroStrategy Michael Saylor style treasury gets launched on top of Disney Pinnacle, whose only mission is to buy more pins, and you're not bullish? What the hell is this? So they had a Pixar sale where I saw some cool little pins coming out of that. But again, it's officially licensed pins. Now, what's of note of this is the MicroStrategy of Disney pins. I sort of thought that it was like a yoke, you know what I'm saying? But apparently it's real. Introducing Deepen for Disney pin, but also decentralized finance in a way. It's kind of clever, but a treasury acquisition vehicle dedicated to purchasing Disney Pinnacle pins on Flow, a new token to gain exposure to one of the largest and most beloved brands, Disney. Buying and trading of Deepen is now live, and here's what you need to know. I mean, part of me is like, this is the most ingenious thing I've ever seen. Because we have seen where it's been successful, right? Spencer from Orange Cap Games was somebody that went out that bought like, what was it? Hundreds of Pudgy Penguins. That turned out massive. There was a ton of early groups that got together and bought Bored Apes. Those were massive. And so now we have Disney pins getting bought up. Hell yeah. And so is Silent. Yo, what a good friggin' morning to you. Holy smokes. What the hell happened last night? We were going for a ride, baby. Not bad. But you know what? Listen, if you're paying attention, remember what Bill Noble said the day before.
This literally is last chance shopping.
Yo, and we went shopping because we're going to Hawaii with Unzi. True. It's back on the menu. Facts. Yo, can you imagine? Unreal. So we saw this post, and I need to preface this, right? Where you see these posts on the timeline, and I'm like, all right, is this just like a fake account? But I want to take like just the thought behind it, okay? So breaking news, Ripple president Monica Long drops a bombshell. Insert the thing about a hot new bombshell enters the island, and then it's Unzi walking in quotes, banks aren't asking if they should tokenize anymore. They're asking how fast they can do it. So I've seen posts and conversations around this and people challenging certain tech or products that are coming out saying, okay, this isn't that good or it's not up to snuff. And you kind of forget that how fast things can develop within the AI age, the fact that the amount of money that's going to be showing. And if we do hit that alt season where we're looking, high price targets, if Bitcoin actually goes all the way up near 200,000, if we have, Pengu mooning to 60 cents, mooning, unreal, right? What does the market look like? How do these brands, how do these people get in? And it's not just banks, right? Like it's every company. How do you get in and how do you capitalize and how do you do it as fast as possible? And that's why things are going to feel like they're moving at lightning speed. But we have to pause and talk about security, so hold the hell up. Security story, a hard lesson. This is coming from DS. Last week, my X account was hacked through an elaborate scheme. I was invited to a supposed podcast and asked to stream via StreamYard. We later uncovered how the hackers operated and shared a warning with the community. We fully rebooted and checked systems, but today I received an email from Yuga Labs made by Apes program stating our MBA license for Ape Sector was revoked due to a failure to confirm a wallet transfer. So yeah, I mean, I guess they just lost everything. And once they realized that all drain, transferred, or sold for their collectibles and whatnot, even experienced people in the space can be targeted. Social engineering is as dangerous as technical exploits. Always verify request links and streams before engaging. Listen, absolute W for explaining that this has happened. Yeah, it's weird because I like with the podcast that I do, like reaching out to people, it does feel like an industry where more and more just having some sort of like, hey, this person is having some sort of a reputation that's positive or connected to people that have a positive reputation, and to be aware for yourself. If people are reaching out, they're sending you messages and they're saying, hey, follow for follow, realize that a lot of that is people that are trying to look like they're reputable, because it shows, hey, we have a couple of mutuals with these people. They'll target somebody. That person will be like, oh, that's cool. They want to interview me. And why I say nobody cares about your opinion, respectfully, to try to warn you for security purposes. But you'll see that, be like, oh, that's exciting. Somebody wants to talk to me for an interview. Check the profile. Oh, look, I got a couple of mutuals because that person just followed them for whatever reason. And then it was just, you know, a scam. So be aware. Always think about it. And be very, very cautious, because some of this shit is just awful. Get ready for CyberKongz. Do you notice within these, there's like a cool cat that's highlighted? We have chimpers, we have sappy seals, we have wreck guys. I don't actually know what CyberKongz announced, except for the fact that they were redoing the banana token. But did something change? Because I thought the announcement was supposed to happen in like 24 hours from the other day. Unless it's happening today, but I've not seen anything. So we'll see. Is this in reference to a metaverse coming? Is this in reference to banana token going to these other communities? Because you can see a doodle in there. You can see a pudgy penguin. As I mentioned, the other collectibles. Like what are we supposed to guess on this front? So I'm an absolute fish. You know what I mean? Like big swimming. You caught me on the hook. I'm flapping around sort of deal. Because I didn't understand initially what the hell they were referencing when they said that they were going to do an upcycle trade and saying, oh, it's the same value. And in my head, I'm like, okay, if you have a floor meebit, why the hell would they trade that for a rare meebit? That doesn't make sense. But then I saw this and I was like, oh, so what they mean is the rare NFT has a value of, I don't know, let's just say like 5 ETH. Well, 6 ETH in this comparison, right? This is not accurate, but the elephant one is 6 ETH, and so they traded 6 floor ones that are valued at 1 ETH to be able to get that. So I think that's actually really cool and does get Grails out into the community. People repping it. WWW. The Oakland San Francisco Bay Bridge averages 260,000 vehicles daily, each paying an $8 toll. So this is what we're going to use whenever we try to explain like what the opportunity is with blockchain. Because imagine that you built that bridge. Imagine you set up this toll back in the day, and you know that people are going to end up using that whether they want to or not. Welcome to crypto. Wyoming has launched the Frontier stablecoin. Stablecoins all of a sudden are all the talk again. We went through a little bit where it wasn't. It's back. Becoming the first USA to issue its own stablecoin, FRNT is now live on 7 blockchains, including Ethereum, Solana, Arbitrum, Avalanche, Polygon, Optimism, and BAYC. But it's not yet publicly available. Everyone wants to launch a stablecoin. And Bo Hines, the guy that was like the lead within the U.S. government, I forget the exact title, so excuse me. Never mind, he's right there. Former director of the White House Crypto Council. Perfect, says that right in the post. Read the page, you dumbass. True. Has taken a new role as a strategic advisor at Tether. Oh, so he goes to the government, gets all the insights, and then goes to like the biggest stablecoin in the world, in Tether. And I was listening to Bill Noble talk this morning because he was referencing this, and he's like, well, Tether makes like $1 billion, and they have 50 employees. This guy's about to make bank working with them, and he's got all the insights. Unreal. Crazy. Bullish. It's a company, it's not that we're feeling bullish, but we are, announces it has a range to receive $1.15 billion of proceeds from its recently completed initial public offering in stablecoins. The vast majority of the stablecoins were minted for bullish on the Solana network. So that spurred some conversation around everybody saying, well, all of this stuff is going to be on Ethereum. And it's like, well, future's going to be multi-chain. Remember Jean-Michel earlier talking about how Ledger ended up winning because they were chain agnostic? Everybody's going to have different preferences. True. Just in SharpLink Gaming buys 143 593 Ethereum worth 667 million. Oh, so you have people that are allocating heavily, and then you read that BlackRock just dumped 548 million worth of Bitcoin. So is BlackRock bearish, or is BlackRock trying to rotate while we start seeing the rest of the market catching a little bit of a bit? These are the questions. We'll wait and see. That's it for this edition of XFeed. Holy smokes. Listen, I got this shirt in the closet. I bought it like a year ago and I haven't even worn it, but, we got to break out the collar for Peckham Hoonsey and, man, that's what it do. Thank you guys so much for coming through. Again, if you're able to share the stream with a friend, let them know. We do these daily ones. We're not trying to necessarily shill anything, except but we're just trying to have fun with it. And again, on YouTube, we do have the membership area that if you check out the page, you can hit the join button. It's like $2.99 a month if you want to buy me a coffee. I'll friggin' you out. But otherwise, enjoy your day. Soulflake, thank you for coming through. You've been showing up a whole bunch lately. Appreciate it. Have yourself a good one, everybody. See you tomorrow. Peace.